Now, in your show, Tango's Violin, the violin is the hero, and really the hero, not the heroine. Perhaps you could explain.
Right. Yes, the show that I've written is called Tango's Violin. It's featuring on the 18th of December at the Famous Spiegeltent in Melbourne for 2 shows at 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. Now, the concept actually came about when I was getting on the internet and looking up all this sort of tango information. I came across lots of tango lyrics, and they're essentially all tragic and passionate and full of anguish. So the more and more I read, the more I realised that the violin is extremely capable of, well, as many people would argue other instruments are as well, but to me, being a string player, I feel the greatest affinity for stringed instruments. So I feel like the violin could portray the passion and heartbreak that's written in the lyrics of these songs. So the more I read about these lyrics and about these songs, which obviously go back to even as early as opera. So when we're sitting there in Wasso in the pit in His Majesty's Theatre here in Perth, we look up at the surtitles and read essentially the same information as what we're reading in tango lyrics. But it just seemed like it was a perfect opportunity for the violin to actually take the place of the man. So the man in tango is extremely powerful, and I suppose the woman is more submissive, taking the following role. So what actually happens in the story is the Tango, who is the girl in the story, she doesn't actually have a name in the story, but she becomes so immersed and obsessed with tango that essentially she becomes tango itself, because she's living the whole life of it, the music, the dancing. And what happens in the end is that she falls in love with a man, and eventually he looks elsewhere, unfortunately, so her violin replaces him. So the violin becomes the powerful figure in her life.
I don't know how politically correct that is.
We won't go there. We won't go there. I must admit, I once heard someone talking about this in Australia, that it's probably the one time in their lives when they hand over power to men. I mean, we've fought out feminism and all of that, but it's actually a pleasure to hand over power.
But what about the violin? You don't hand over power to the instrument, surely.
Well, one might say that...
You have to tame that thing.
That's right. Well, some people say that, you know, we are slave to our instruments. So potentially we may be I might be the slave to the violin in this show, but I suppose it holds the power because...
Yes, but it doesn't function without you playing.
Well, that's tango, isn't it? It takes two.
Very good.